Hey everybody, PokeScion here and welcome back to another Pokemon Challenge video. Last time, I tried to see if I could play through Pokemon Emerald with only a Surskit, and you guys seem to like it. This time, we asked the question of, can I beat Pokemon Black 2 with only a Lillipup? As one of the Unova region's beginner route normal types, I don't expect it to be holding its weight by the end of the game. Taking a look at its base stats, it has pretty decent attack and speed stats for early game, but it'll probably be really hard for it to hold up near the Giant Chasm part of the game. Its learn sets are not super amazing either, especially considering the fact that it's a normal type Pokemon. You know, the type that usually gets a lot of types of moves. But it's good enough for us to at least have a good attempt at it. Before we get into the run, let's set a few baseline rules. Number 1. I can only battle with Lillipup, meaning that if I battle with any other Pokemon, the run is invalid. However, having other Pokemon on the team for HM usage is allowed. Number 2. I cannot use medicinal items in battle. Held items are fine, but any potions and full restores are off the table. Number 3. No glitches or any game-breaking exploits. With that all said, let's just jump right into it. Starting off, I replaced Snivy for Lillipup at the start of selection since I figured that letting the rival have Tepig would make this run the hardest. And, first rival battle. Not that hard. Having been beaten down so badly, he challenged us to a rematch at the Flockacy Ranch. Losing again, badly. He backed off and opened the way for us to challenge the first gym leader, Charon. Now, I don't know about any of you guys, but this gym tends to be a roadblock for even people playing the game normally. His gimmick is that both of his Pokemon have workup, boosting both attack and special attack by one stage. So the fact that you would usually not have enough damage by this point to completely one-shot something, it'd be... Oh, it's over. Well, I guess I'll go screw myself. After beating Charon, we got the TMs for Workup and Return. Return being a move that is staying on Lillipup until the end of time, because it's pretty much the strongest normal type move with no drawbacks on it. Moving on to Verbank City, I pick up 2 extremely helpful things for us in this run. A Silk Scarf to boost our normal type moves, and the TM for Rock Smash since Lillipup hardly gets any fighting type moves besides this one. So just in case we happen to run into any Rock or Steel type Pokemon that are absolutely eating our normal type moves, we will at least have something to hit them with. On to the Verbank Gym, and it turned out to be pretty simple. I hit 2 returns on Roxy's Coughing, taking a bit of damage in return, then her ace, Whirlipede. It starts with a Protect, and I used Workup, basically wasting her Protect. Next turn, I used Return, earning me the Knockout and the Toxic Badge from Roxy. On to the Castalia Gym, and we ran into our first hurdle. Going into this, I didn't think Berg would be that hard to deal with, besides its Dwebble, but that wasn't too big on my radar to begin with. Lo and behold, it turns out to be that big of a problem. As expected, his leading Swatloon wasn't that hard to knock out, though it did end up hitting me with a Razor Leaf. Out comes Dwebble, and I thought I would be fine if I just gave Lillipup Rock Smash, since it would be neutral damage. However, one thing I did not consider was how tanky this thing is. I mean, yeah, I was already at about half when it got sent out, but that's besides the point. It's not as if the Dwebble itself was anything to write home about, but more that it stood in the way of me being able to fight Leavanny. When we got to Leavanny, after his Dwebble left me at 8 HP, it outspeeds. Naturally. Alright, time for a grind. A few levels later, oh, here are the stats. But because I completely brain farted, I forgot to record the bottom screen. You'll be seeing the bottom screen in the later clips though. Anyways, the second run through and we managed to win it pretty alright, earning our next badge. Colress is up next. We hit his Magnemite with Rock Smash, taking down most of his HP, and he hits a Thunder Wave. At this point, I'm thinking, and here's where we lose, because as you all know at this rate, my luck is atrociously bad. Anyways, next turn, he hits a Spark, not dealing a ton of damage, and we take it out. Clink is second, and although I had my butt-clenching moment of the day fighting it, we didn't lose. We won against Colress and went to Nimbasa City. On to Elisa, and here's our stats. For level 35, it's not amazing, but an advantage is that our defense and special defenses are pretty good. Now, I don't know what I had to fight in order to get the proper IVs to get here, but it's not bad. Our moveset is still the same. Return is just such a good move for Lillipup that I really don't see any reason for anything else. Rock Smash is still our resistance counter, and Crunch is just there as the extra move. Most of my strategy, if you want to call it that, is to work up and then get enough attack buffs to be able to one-shot everything. Since later on it'll be one-shot or get one-shot, I figured I may as well start early. With that said, let's fight the gym leader model. She starts off with Emolga, who outspeeds us, hitting a Volt Switch, doing a bit more damage than I'd hoped for, while I went for the first turn workup. She swaps out to Flaffy. I went for another workup, just to make sure that I could actually take out her later Zubstrika, but then got paralyzed by Thunder Wave. Yay. And well, let's just say that sets the course for the rest of the attempt. Attempt number 2! Emolga still goes for the first turn Volt Switch into Flaffy, though unlike last time, I didn't go for 2 workups and instead opted to take it out with a +1 return. Emolga comes out, only to go right back into its ball. Then comes Zubstrika, which, why was I scared? Well, clearly I wasn't scared of the right thing. Because I'm slower than Emolga, she will always hit Volt Switch first, which does way too much damage the first time, that it does just enough to knock me out by the time she cycles out 2 more times. So the answers I can think of right now are either get enough speed or more special defense, both of which involve leveling up. Back at level 40, and here's our stats. Attempt number 3, no dice. Only on attempt number 4 were we lucky enough to actually get the win. On to Driftvale. It's time to fight Clay, and he starts off with the Krokorok, who has Intimidate, lowering our attack by 1 right off the bat, already putting us at a disadvantage. That meant that I had to use 2 workups to actually get to +1, wasting another turn. Not to mention, his Krokorok has Torment. If you don't know what that does, it means we can't use the same move twice, meaning we can't use workup twice in a row, or return, our best damage source, twice. Though we eventually knock it out with no problems besides that. His next Pokemon is Sandslash, who, hits way too hard. Not only that, but it also has Bulldoze. Not that Krokorok didn't, but it didn't matter too much to me compared to Intimidate and Torment. I'm just going to say that the next few attempts weren't exactly anything different. Now, this could just be me being stubborn as to not overlevel, since that's what keeps these challenge type things more interesting, or if it did it, then it'd be ruining the point. So I tried to always stay within a reasonable range of levels compared to whomever I'm fighting. Although, as you can see here, I caved twice because I wouldn't be able to get the knockouts early enough to where I haven't taken too much damage, making me level 52. Though eventually, I grew a brain and taught Lillipup Dig. Dig is not only helpful to deal with Clay's Excadrill, but it also saves me a turn of getting hit, or potentially being inflicted by statuses, though that second part is gonna slap me in the face later. And what do you know? That one change was
just what I needed
to net the Quake badge. Skyla's up next. Her lead is Swoobat. We start the battle off with a workup, having completely forgotten that she has Attract on it. Although, we managed to break through the Infatuation and knock it out with a Crunch. Weird, considering I usually have a lot of problems with that status. Swanna comes in, and even at our current level 54, she still outspeeds and hits an Air Slash, which puts us down to 56 HP, although taking it down wasn't that hard at all. Lastly is the only thing I even considered a relative problem going into this battle, Skarmory. I decided to use Return to start off, dealing about a third of its health, and she goes for Agility, which means she is faster than me now. I get her down to the point where she heals, while she gets a Steel Wing off, dealing 30 damage, leaving me at 26. Because of all of those things that are happening right there, we lost. I don't think changing how we approach this battle will affect the result the whole time, so we just need levels. Back again at level 58, and we barely managed to clutch it out with this attempt. Skarmory was the only problem in that fight, because 1, it's a Steel type, and 2, it has some of the best base defense in the game. So, I think we've gotten past all of the issues in this run, and I don't think there's gonna be that many issues going forward, right? Alright, I hope you're still with me because this part of the game gets really fragmented. But moving on to Undella Town, we have another rival battle. Here are our current stats. Looking like a half-decent Pokemon now, except for the fact that we needed to be level 60 to get here. Yup, still rocking that same moveset. Getting into the fight against Solo, he leads with Unpheasant, who got one-shot, unsurprisingly enough. Next up is Emboar, who was the only thing I was moderately afraid of, considering it has a good amount of bulk in both its HP and defense stats. I'd be half right. It did have enough to take a +0 stab return. Oh, side note, stab, for those who don't know, is a mechanic that powers up moves that have the same type as your Pokemon, otherwise known as same type attack bonus. Once again, I'm worried for pretty much no reason. His last Pokemon was Semipour, to which, seeing how hard Emboar was, this was a complete landslide. And that wraps up our 4th battle with Solo. From here on, it's just one big marathon to Opelousas City. or so I thought. In Lacanosa Town, there's a double battle against Zinzol and a Team Plasma Grunt. We were doing well for the good bit of it, until I realized that Cryogonal can outspeed me whilst being 18 levels lower. Granted, in the end, I didn't lose the fight, but seeing as how both Zinzolin's Cryogonal and Sneasel can outspeed our Lillipup even with such a huge level gap, that definitely spooked me. Finally, at Opelousas City, after a trek through literally the entire right side of the region, we are at level 67. Not that much better than before, but we're improving. Yep, that's all I got. Oh, fun mechanic in this Dragon type gym, by the way. Besides the first battle and the gym leader, the rest of the battles in here are triple and rotation battles, and a run where I'm limiting myself to only one Pokemon. In these cases, I will try my best to not use any of my other Pokemon that are strictly on the team for HM uses. But seeing as how some battles are required to move forward, we need to try our luck in 1v3s. Actually, it wasn't that bad. Except for the fact that some, if not all of these trainers, have Druddigon as one of their Pokemon. Druddigon generally is pretty underwhelming. That's why I didn't even think of it as a threat. Although, because of that, I forgot it can learn Revenge by level up. Revenge, for the uninformed, does double damage if the user is hit within the same turn. Basically meaning, if I can't manage to one-shot it, I take a huge amount of damage, and on top of that, some Druddigon can also have the ability Rough Skin, and a decent enough defense stat to tank at least 1+0 return, of which Rough Skin hurts the opponent when they make physical contact. There is absolutely no way I can waste a single turn trying to use Work Up, because on those same turns, I could just as easily get knocked out. After a few more trials, we got up to Drayden. He leads with his own Druddigon, and I immediately went for 2 workups, taking about 100 damage in the time to set it up. As you can guess, the rest of the battle was a piece of cake. We completely one-shot the rest of his team, earning us the Legend Badge. With 7 badges in hand, we now head to our last gym to seal the deal. He leads with Caracosta, and then I completely forgot about Marlin's signature move, which is Scald. Scald is a water type move that does a pretty good amount of damage, and also has a 30% chance to burn the opponent, which, seeing as how Lillipup is a physical attacker, burn is pretty much the worst status that can hit us. And what do you know? Caracosta hits it first turn, taking out basically all of my HP in one go, and gets the burn. Yeah, time for attempt number 2. Second try, and we're lucky enough to not get burned by the Caracosta, so good start, until I misclicked and did barely any damage to his Wailord. Attempt number 3, and that was the clean run through. Caracosta didn't burn me, and we took it out quickly enough. Wailord's only thing is its massive HP stat, and Jellicent went down with a single crunch. That earns us the final badge, the Wave Badge. Now that we've beaten all of the gyms, it's just the rest of the Team Plasma fights in the Pokémon League. So, aboard the Plasma Frigate now, we have another Zinzolin multi-battle. This time though, not too bad. Although that was pretty much only because Solo was taking the brunt of the hits. Sorry about that, man. Now that we're done with the frigate, we've got to chase it down again because it flew somewhere else. I'm getting real deja vu from this.
Looks like the princess was moved to another location. Let's head back to the city.
Into the giant chasm we go, and aboard the ship again. You know, I don't think Game Freak saw how monotonous this guy was getting, so they threw another Zinzolin battle aboard the frigate. You want to see me hit return and one-shot a Pokemon?
You want to see me do it again?
And again? Now Colress Battle 2! I kid you not, this was the most infuriating battle I had to do in this entire challenge run. Now, while I show you my attempts, let me explain what's going on here. Colress has a Magneton and Magnezone. Both of their abilities are sturdy, meaning that I cannot, under any circumstances, knock them out with one individual hit from full health. Another thing they both have? Thunder Wave. Because of those two things already, you can tell this whole situation wasn't fun. On top of that though, his Magneton is holding an Eviolite. What Eviolite does is give a non-fully evolved Pokemon a 50% bonus to both their defensive stats. Now that you've heard all that, let me simplify everything I just said. It is impossible for me to one-shot them from full with return, no matter how high level I am. Their AI tells them to go for Thunder Wave first if they can, meaning that I will start paralyzed or I will be paralyzed when he sends out his Magnet Zone, because that also does it too. When he does, he either A, uses Flash Cannon, or B, if I do enough damage to it on switching, he also has Explosion and will use it. This was enough for me to give the leftovers to Lillipup. Thankfully for me, Explosion doesn't have the opponent's defense like it does in prior games. If those things don't wipe me out, then the next thing he sends in will. I am perpetually paralyzed in this battle from start to finish, so I practically have to pray that I don't get paralyzed at any point in this battle or I lose. I went from level 74 on my first attempt to level 90 on whatever attempt to do enough damage and not take too much damage on first impact. Never mind the fact that most of his Pokemon are Steel type, pretty much forcing me to use Dig, therefore adding another turn to hope and pray for. That was quite possibly... no, scratch that. It was the most problematic part of this run. I had a few attempts where I really had to consider if it was really possible or not. Just for context's sake, I was stuck on this battle for more than half an hour. With speed up, we managed to get just the right amount of luck to secure our victory though. You know, if you're asking what I mean by right amount, I mean not losing a single turn to paralysis whatsoever. Nothing big. I feel like there's something to be said when this big fusing icy dragon that's feared by the nearby village just gets beaten down by this little puppy. Just saying. Anyways, gets this time. And ironically enough, this battle was a lot easier than Colress. I thought we were gonna have a harder time with it, but it went pretty alright. Sure, most of that is because I'm level 90, but hey, we don't need to talk about that. Oh yeah, I found this little glitch on my way out. Don't know if this had ever been mentioned before or if this was just a me thing, but I mean, now you know. We're nearing the end of this run. So hey, if you've been enjoying this video so far, then why not drop a like? It would get this video out to more people and help the channel out a ton. Back to the challenge run, we have our final rival battle to get through. And you want to see me beat him? You want to see it again? Well, disregard that. I did it again! Yeah, totally. Alright, final stretch, Pokemon League time. I don't think this Elite Four is going to be that hard to beat, what with the unorthodox types they specialize in, being Ghost, Dark, Psychic, and Fighting. The only problem I think we're going to have is with Marshall, but we'll get there in a bit. Here's the last stat update. With these numbers, do you think you'd be looking at a Garchomp at level 60 or something, but nope. This sure is a level 94 Lillipup. I decided to start with Chantal because I thought she'd be the easiest to beat. Truth be told, she was. Her battle essentially amounted to use Crunch. Next, Grimsley. Return Spam. Oh, and one Dig. Now for the only one here that can actually give me somewhat of a challenge. Marshall. The only reason I say that is because, once again, we have another sturdy situation. You might say that it shouldn't be that big of a problem, and really, if he didn't heal, we'd be fine. But the sequence of events goes like this. I hit, he heals, I hit, and then he gets the knockout because his single Brick does about 110 of my HP. Do that twice, and even with leftovers, I'm not living that. But the second run through and his AI just deletes his own brain cells and just goes for payback instead. So the rest of that battle went like cake. Caitlyn, the last Elite Four member, here we go. Remember that thing I did against Chantal? You want to see me do it again? It is time to fight the champion. The grand finale of this challenge run. Let's do it. She starts with Hydreigon, and I try to get my attack buffs right away. She hits a Dragon Pulse, then we smack it back with a turn, one-shotting it. Next is Druddigon, another easy return. Out comes Aggron, and surprisingly enough, this one doesn't have Sturdy, which would have made this a ton more harder, but I'm not complaining. One Dig did the trick. Then the rest of the battle just amounted to hit return to kill. The only other notable moment in this battle was her Haxorus surviving one, because it was holding a Focus Sash, getting off the only other hit on Lillipup, not even doing a whole ton of damage anyways. So there you have it. The question of, can I beat Pokemon Black 2 with only a Lillipup, has been answered. Yeah, you can. I think this run was even easier than the Surskit one in Emerald, to be honest. Though this one had some points where I was stuck, Those stuck moments were just luck-based, and I could actually think of a possible way out that wasn't just toxic and rest. If you want more challenge runs in the future, leave a like to show you do. Subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss the next one I upload. If you want to check out some challenge runs that I've already done, check out the playlist on the right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.